Hey everybody, Shane here, Shoebox Legends. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. I have a couple things I want to get to today, some updates on the selling front, some pickups that have come in that I want to show off, and some hobby themes that I want to touch on. Just a bunch of different randomness. Gonna get right to it here. I want to try to keep this brief, but I've been spending, as I've mentioned before, a good amount of my limited hobby time during these summer months, continuing to condense my collection down, doing a lot of selling of cards and less buying of cards than I'm doing selling of cards, which has been great. And I have this really cool one that I mentioned in a recent video, maybe 2 or 3 videos back, I think, that I was considering selling this 1914 Cracker Jack Bill Kerrigan card, which is a lowly PSA 1, but presents pretty well for a card that's over 100 years old. I love this set. It's probably my favorite pre-war set, but this is a card that I don't really need in my collection anymore. I picked it up during my Red Sox team collecting days, and that's not really the way that I approach the hobby. And this really hasn't come out of its box or seen the light of day in a year or two. So I am listing this one at open auction, 99 cents, letting it rip later this week. It'll go up Thursday night for a 10-day run on eBay. So if you're interested in that, one to maybe follow. And then this will lead into my pickups portion of the video. But I've been letting some buybacks go as well to make space around here. So for those of you who don't know, I collect Topps buyback cards, and I've gotten tons of them over the years. I used to get them back in the day in big lots when they were cheap or no one really cared about them, and I have way too many of them around. So I have a couple of different buyback projects that I'm doing, some of which I've shown on the channel, others I haven't, but I've got a whole box of buybacks that have just been rejected or don't match any of those projects. So I've been breaking them into kind of lots of like 45, because those fit nicely into like a team set or graded card bag, and listing them as a lot on eBay. This one is an example that I have up now, all 1988 Topps buybacks. And I had done a couple lots like that maybe a month ago, and I sold one to a gentleman who reached out to me afterwards. And this is one of the things I wanted to talk about in today's video, is the importance of communication in our hobby, especially online. Obviously, if you're buying your cards at card shows, communication is happening naturally, but I think those of us who buy the majority of our cards on eBay, we can sometimes fall into the trap of thinking that eBay is like a faceless consumer website, almost like you're buying something on Amazon. And that's not the case. On the end of every offer that you're making on eBay, or every card that you're watching on eBay, is another human being and likely card collector, or at least dealer, who you can interact with on a personal level. And just to give you an example of how that can pan out, the gentleman who bought one of these lots from me, I think it was a 1988 Topps lot, just like this one, reached out, and he had a few cards that he was looking for in buyback format specifically for sets that he's trying to build. Long story short, we did a back and forth, and was able to sell him a handful of cards that he'd been looking for a while in a custom eBay listing, and I did really well on that. He was a great seller, a great buyer, I should say. But he ended up being a seller as well, because I basically said, while I have you, I'm working on a 1990 Topps buyback set. Do you have any that I need? I sent him my list, and he sent me back this small lot, which he custom listed for me on eBay. There are 5 buyback cards here that will go into my 1990 Topps project. So for the binder, the set build that I'm working on, I needed Franklin Stubbs, Willie Wilson, who we see up in the background here, his Archive Signature Series card. Now, had it come down to it, I would have busted this out of its case and put it into the set build album, but I didn't do that yet because I had a feeling I may run across one. And sure enough, he had a Willie Wilson. And then lastly, Gene Larkin. And then on top of that, he had 2 from the traded set as well. Now, I'm not really pursuing this. It doesn't carry the same nostalgia with me as, the original 1990 Topps set. But since he was looking for these and tracking them down on my behalf, couldn't really turn down those 2 traded cards either. So just an example of how interacting with a seller or a buyer can really benefit you. And I'm guilty of it sometimes, where I don't take that extra minute to send a personalized message or include a note along with an offer. And I think things like that in some cases go a long way. And that was a good reminder to me. I would not have any of those 5 buybacks in my possession if it wasn't for that communication that took place. Those were not for sale anywhere, and my collection is now better off for it. I guess the other theme that I wanted to touch on, aside from communication, is patience and playing the long game, which I know is something that a lot of folks talk about, It's a very hard skill to master here in the hobby, but I have two pickups that are part of my collection that I really started focusing on like a year or two ago, and it took that long to find these cards. So these next two have to do with the Negro Leagues, and I realized, I think back in 2023, that my Negro Leagues representation throughout my baseball collection was kind of poor, and I made it a stated goal of mine to improve that. And I bought a lot of cards over the first, year to year and a half of that, and I've somewhat drifted away from that because I really kind of fixed that in my eyes, or improved that part of my collection to where I can move on to other areas. But I always keep an eye open, and I had a couple of long-term save searches that finally paid off in these next two cards. So first and foremost, I got this George Spriggs 1971 Topps. This is the Heritage Box Topper Buyback that would have been issued in 2020 Topps Heritage. You can see that great stamp. But the reason I was after this one, George is a bridge player, meaning he began his professional career with a Negro Leagues franchise before moving over to Major League Baseball eventually. He did not have a long or storied MLB career, but I learned about him just because of studying bridge players and forming that collection. And I've been after a buyback of this card for quite a while to go into my Negro League Z Folio. And this one finally came up, had a save search for probably 18 months. And then this card surfaced for like $5, and I could not smash buy it now fast enough. So there's one. And then the other example of this, maybe a little over a decade ago, Panini, when they still had a baseball license back then, or I guess they maybe didn't even back then, but regardless, they put out a beautiful 9-card insert set called Barnstorming Brilliance. And it's exactly what it sounds like. These are players who participated in Negro Leagues barnstorming around the country, and they're well-known MLB stars for the most part. It's a 9-card set, and the base version is numbered to 125. Now, you wouldn't think that would be too difficult, 125 copies of each, but given that these came out back in like 2013, I think it was, 12 years later, they're very difficult to come by. And to prove that, I was able to get 8 out of the 9 within just a few months, but the final card to complete the set eluded me for literally almost 2 years. And I've had a saved eBay search sitting there for this entire period of time, just waiting for this card to pop up. It finally did a couple weeks back, and I got it for a whopping $4. It is the Ernie Banks from the Barnstorming Brilliance. This was a insert set in the America's Pastime release from Panini back in 2013. You can see the serial numbering there to 125. So at long last, this 9-card insert set is finally complete in my collection. Just a really satisfying $4 spent in the hobby, and an example of, like I said, patience paying off. All right, I've got just a handful more to get to here. We're going to start with a Stadium Club parallel that I landed recently. I've never owned a Nolan Ryan Stadium Club foil board numbered to 25, or rainbow foil board numbered to 25, but this one popped up, and I love it. Just showed up maybe within the last month here. Have not yet shown it off on the channel, but look at this photograph. You get the ball floating towards you here in the upper part of the frame. Of course, that amazing rainbow foil board shine that makes these, combined with the great photography, one of my favorite parallels in the modern hobby. And of course, Nolan Ryan, one of the most desirable and collected figures on the baseball side of things, certainly as far as pitchers go. I know many folks who enjoy him, myself included. Been a fan of his since 1990, and feels really good to reel in one of these Stadium Club rainbow foil board parallels featuring the Texas Express from his time with the Angels here, where he was probably the most dominant of his career throughout the majority of the 70s. And then here's the back with your numbering 24 of 25. Just a killer Nolan Ryan. So happy to add that to my Nolan Ryan PC, which I mentioned recently. I am kind of minimizing, just like much of my collection. I don't really feel the need to have complete player runs any longer, or try to be a completist or a set builder. So I am starting to let some Nolan Ryans go, sent some lower end ones out to some buddies, and some of the better ones I'll be listing on eBay in the future. So if I remember, I'll try to leave a link to my eBay store below. A couple folks have asked about it, but moving on from that, I have one big card here that I've had for a while, but have never shown off here on YouTube. And before we get to it, I have 4 autographs that continue the theme, the project that I've been working on that you see up in the background of today's video, and that is the pursuit of as many archive signature series cards that I can find from the 1990 Topps and 1990 Topps traded releases. The 4 that you see up there are all pickups from the last maybe 6 months or so, but I have 4 new ones that have come in. It's funny how this works. It kind of ebbs and flows. Sometimes I can go months without seeing any that I need, and then other times, like has happened early in this baseball season, multiple copies will surface that I need. And I was able to secure 4 new ones here, starting with Eric Davis. Guy was a beast back in the day. His name is sadly getting a little bit lost to history as time goes by because he's, not a Hall of Famer. But yeah, those who were involved in the hobby, especially in the late 80s, will definitely remember what a big deal this guy was. His autograph isn't my favorite. It's a kind of cluttered, small auto there, but at least he signed it in a bright portion of the card. And this one is numbered out of 93. So not exactly a rare one either. He is someone who seems to sign prominently for Archive Signature Series. But yeah, nonetheless, this was cheap enough, like I think around or under the $30 price point, and another card off the list in terms of that collection. And these were, for those who don't know, the first cards that I ever opened out of packs all the way back in the spring of 1990. So for me, it gives me the ultimate nostalgia feels collecting this set, in autographed format like this. The next one is a pretty good one here. Tony Fernandez, which is not an easy auto to get. I think he passed away at a relatively young age. I hope I'm not mistaken about that. I'm fairly confident, but this one is numbered to 20, and it's from the 2016 Archive Signature Series release. So this one is almost a decade old now, and with just 20 copies in circulation does not pop up very often. I had not seen a copy of this one in years and was really, really happy to be able to win it, especially because the other set that I really pursue from this release are the Topps Kids autos, and I just so happen to have his Topps Kids Archive Signature auto as well. So that's a nice little Tony Fernandez pair there. But out of the two, the 1990 means the most to me. Next up, I've got one here that is actually a 1 of 1. So check this out. And I know obviously you have to put an asterisk with these, next to the 1 of 1, because that's only means it's a 1 of 1 within this particular year of Archive Signature Series. And there's nothing that would prevent Topps, in the future from including this 1990 Topps Willie Randolph in a future Archive Signature Series set and maybe numbering it to like 20 or 15. You just don't know. But either way, a cool card. And this is one that I had not ever seen in buyback format at all, autographed or not, prior to this. I think it's interesting that he signed right above the nameplate there. You rarely see that, or at least I don't recall many examples of that in my collection of these cards. And yeah, gimmicky as it may be, calling this a 1 of 1, it definitely still is a stamped 1 of 1, and was happy to haul this in. I thought about this one, this one up at auction a few times without any bidders. And finally I was like, if this slipped away off my watch list, I'd be pretty disappointed, just given what a home run it is for my specific focus of collecting here. So I have a handful of these now in 1 of 1 format, and happy to add Willie Randolph as the latest. And then finally on the 90 autos front, this one has the best signature of any of the 4 that we've seen today, and one of the best that I've seen on any of these, period. Check this out. Benito Santiago, Benny Santiago with the Padres here, doing some pregame warm-ups in his catcher's gear. This is from the 2020 Archive Signature Series release. So this came out during the summer of COVID and is numbered to just 7 copies. But obviously, all of that aside, the absolute stunner here is the autograph itself. Benny should be teaching modern athletes and modern individuals, period, how to sign their name with style, because that is easily one of the best pure autographs that I've gotten on any one of these cards. I have over 50 of these now from the 1990 Topps release, and I would easily say that the autograph itself here is a top 5 auto within that group of 50. Just absolutely stunning job by Benito here. He used up the entirety of the card from border to border. Big, bold signature, no streaks, and absolutely adore this one. I won this for less than the cost of a retail blaster, less than $25. The snipe that I had set was much higher than that, but was pleasantly surprised that this one finished as low as it did, especially since my days of sniping maybe coming to an end or maybe drastically impacted by the recent announcement of eBay's bid extension that they're piloting. And then let's close it out here with the big card. I know I've gone on for over 15 minutes. I like to keep these brief if I can. But I've talked in a few episodes recently about my love of printing plates. I know they're not for everyone, but I just really enjoy, especially the longer I'm in the hobby, things that are unique, scarce, hard to find, you don't see every day. And I think it's really cool that these are involved in the actual production of the cards as well. And so those two things combined make them a really good fit for my collection. And I have a big one here that, as I mentioned, I've had for a while, but have never shown. Pulled this out the other day to send a photo to a buddy of mine and figured let's get it up on the channel. This is the 2018 Topps Chrome printing plate of Mookie Betts. Check it out. And it's the magenta printing plate. If we take a look at the back here, one of one, as every printing plate is, from 2018 Topps Chrome Baseball. I love this because magenta is kind of the closest to like a Red Sox color that you could get out of the plates. I mean, I would take anyone to be perfectly honest. But what I really love about this, 2018 is Mookie Betts' biggest season to date, and most likely, barring some crazy turnaround here in the latter stages of his career, will go down as his best season of his career. And especially being a Red Sox fan, I have so many fond personal memories of watching the team in person and on TV that year, rooting for Mookie and the guys, culminating in a World Series championship. I shared in a lot of that with my younger brother, which I've mentioned on the channel before, and he passed away unexpectedly not long after that World Series concluded. So that 2018 Red Sox team and World Series championship will always have a special place in my heart. And in addition to that, Mookie, not only was he instrumental in bringing the World Series to Boston, but he won the MVP that year and the batting title for the American League. So had a WAR of north of 10, double-digit WAR. And like I said, likely to be the best season of his career, and certainly to me, the most personally memorable for a variety of reasons. So just ecstatic to have one of the 4 printing plates that made this Topps Chrome card. And yeah, long overdue probably in showing this one off on the channel. And I'm glad I pulled this out because as a little teaser or some foreshadowing, I bought another epic 2018 Mookie Betts card just earlier today. And I'll be showing that one off in an upcoming video here. So I'm going to stop there. This has been one of my longer videos in some time. If you made it with me to the end, I really appreciate the support. I know there is a ton of great content out there. I hope you're all enjoying the hobby. I'll be back soon. And until then, take care, everybody.